Alright, everybody, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get ready to roll. I hope you got everything you need. I hope you're ready, you're paying attention. I hope you're excited about what's about to happen. Because you know what? We got to go. First up, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still looking like it wants to sell off. Pushed up a little bit to this 97,500 area and couldn't break it. It put in this little bar here. It didn't really do much of nothing. With low volume. Volume was really low on Bitcoin today. And so I still think it's a sell, but we're going to have to see what happens in the next few days. But currently, in my opinion, it's a sell. Next up, Bitcoin USD. And it popped up a little bit higher than I had expected, but it couldn't break this 98 area, 98,500. So it needs to get up above that and make some support and retest this 105 before we can be sure that it's not going to continue to sell off. Next up is oil. Oil popped up, is getting a little bit of pullback. It only got 2 bar pullback so far, and you can see they keep buying it back up. So, and it's about midway of this bar here, so our moving averages are catching up. So I suspect oil is going to find some support somewhere in here and go back up and retest this area at $79. Next up, gold. And gold looked like it was selling off, but it caught some support here at the 8 and 9 SMAs. We got the 20-day underneath, and it's trying to get above this 2,693 area here. It needs to go back and retest this area here and get above that, and then that way we know this could be a good area of support, and then we can go up and retest this 2,801 area. Alright, next up is natural gas, and natural gas is still looking kind of weak, but it hasn't broke the moving averages. The moving averages are still pointing ahead. It's still pointing up here to 200 to 150. So it's still in an uptrend, or it's still in an up market, but it is pulling back a little bit. So keep an eye on that. Next up is NASDAQ, and NASDAQ is continuing to find some resistance here at this 20,983 area. It's got the 8 and 9 SMAs coming over to act as resistance. It's got the 20 rolling over. If it can't get above this area, look for a sell-off to come down here to these moving averages and try to find some support for going back and retesting this area. But right now it's looking like a sell also. Next up is silver, and silver is trying to find some support here with the moving averages. You got the 200 SMA, and you got the 200 moving exponential, and you got the 20 coming underneath to act as support as well. So if we can get a open up above this bar here and pull back to make sure we close that window and then go up, then we should be strong enough to continue to go higher to retest this $33 area. And that's silver. Next up is the Dow, and the Dow is put in a couple bars as if it was trying to push higher, and it got above this 4,200 area, 42,715, and but it, wasn't enough to continue to go higher. It couldn't. It was the volume on that one I think was kind of low today too, and it looks like it might be a sell as well. But we have to see what happens on tomorrow because the 20 days rolling over. So far it's been respecting the 20 and the 8 and 9 SMAs. So if we get a red bar open, we're probably going to push down here and retest this 41,682 area. Alright, that's the Dow. Next up is corn, and corn has been pushing higher. Found some support here at $472.14, and it's looking good. It's in the up market. The moving averages are all nicely spaced, and I think it's going to continue to run higher. That's corn. Next up is Apple is still stuck around this $233 area. Can't seem to get out of that between 237 and 233. If it breaks below, then Look for a pullback into here somewhere, like maybe around 223 or so. And our moving averages hold and push higher. If they don't, then it's going to come back down and retest this 214. But Apple is still looking kind of weak right now. Next up is Affirm. And Affirm got a little bounce down here at, let's see, let's get the price on there on that one. You don't even have to look at it and guess. $52. And put in a red bar, put in a red bar here, but couldn't break this bar here. So this bar is still kind of weak, and the volume is still kind of low. So when this moving average roll over some more, and the 20-day roll over some more, I suspect we're going to force this down through this $50 area here. That was the high at one point, and now it's serving as a support. And if that doesn't hold as support, it's going to become resistance, and we're going to be coming back down into here to shut this window that it opened up down here at around $31. All right, that's Affirm, AFRM. Financials. Next up, AMD, and AMD is still chopping around this $116 area, not really doing anything. Not indicating whether it wants to go higher or go lower. So but we got our moving averages coming over to help it decide, and also the 150 and the 200s are also rolling over. Now this, when it got below these moving averages and now these are rolling over, this is an indication that we are in a down market on AMD. So be careful with that one. Alright, next up is Amazon. And Amazon also is starting to sell off. Can't seem to get above this 219 area and close. Got a moving averages rolling over 20 and the 8 and 9 SMA. So keep an eye on that. If it rolls over some more and forces this down, we get to open up down here below this, and it's going to come back down in here to this $200 area. So keep an eye on Amazon, because Amazon looks like a sell right now. Alright, next up is ARC Innovation, and it's rolling over, and it looks like a sell currently, with the 8 acting as a resistance, 8 and 9 SMAs, and the 20-day SMA also rolling over. So the $54 area has been acting as our support area. If that doesn't hold, then look forward to retest this $49 area. If that doesn't hold, we got a window we opened up down here at around 47. So that'll be the next stop. And if that doesn't hold, look out below. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe, please do. Next up is AWK, and it is still chopping around in here. We're actually in like a little bit of a channel, not a channel, but a consolidation here. Can't seem to get above 122 and doesn't seem to want to close below. And we'll put that on to our right, 120. Alright, so in between this $2 area, it pushed down all the way down to 118, but came back up and closed above this 120. So keep an eye on that. Once these moving averages start to roll over and get closer and start to put some pressure on it, then we're going to see if it's going to want to try to break through or continue to sell off. Alright, next up is, and that was American Water Works. Next up is BITI. BITI is still consolidating in this area here between $24 and $21. BITI is the short of Bitcoin, and yeah, we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that. Are we going to pop higher and go up, and Bitcoin's going to sell off, or is it just going to continue to chop around here like Bitcoin's been doing, bouncing around in the same area? Next up is BOIL, BOIL, and that's the ProShares Ultra Bloomberg Natural Gas ETF. And natural gas, what do we say about natural gas? Natural gas was looking like has been pulling back. All right. So Boyle, on the other hand, is looking kind of positive, right? With our moving averages here, we still got this 200 exponential overhead as resistance, but it can't get enough to muster enough to get up above. As you can see here, put in this doji here, right? Put in this doji here, and it opened up below it, but then it pushed back up. It couldn't close above it. So it's still some indecision going on with this one. They haven't quite decided which direction they want to go. Next up is Canopy Growth, and Canopy Growth continues to sell off. Wheat stocks aren't doing so good right now, so um, yeah, not much to say about this one for right now. It's a sell, and it's in a down market. All right, next up is Comcast, which has gone into a down market also and continues to sell off. Should find some support at around $29. As you can see, the moving averages are still somewhat flat. When they start to roll over more, then we know we're going to be heading down faster. Alright, next up is Chipotle, and Chipotle is also getting into a down market, but it can't seem to break this $55 area. If we get below that, then next stop is going to be most likely down around 47. If 47 doesn't hold, look out below. Alright, and that's on Chipotle. Currently it's almost in a down market. It's barely here, chopping around a little bit. Our moving averages are flat. The 200s are flat, and the 150 is kind of rolling over a little bit. But Chipotle, we got to be careful with Chipotle. If these moving averages continue to come down and we get a bar opened up below this $55 area, I have a feeling we're going to continue to sell off. Alright, that's Chipotle. Next up is corn. And corn, as we saw over here, right? Corn's been nice pushing up, found some support up here, so let's see what happens in the next day or two with corn. And this is the that was the corn futures, and this is took from corn ETF. This is the corn ETF, and it put this little thing in here. Alright, so we're going to consolidate in here and then go higher, or are we going to wait for the moving averages to catch up before going higher? We'll see what happens with that. But currently it's heading into an up market, or a trending higher market, bull market per se. Next up is CRSR, Corsair Gaming, and still chopping around in this channel, so keep an eye on that one. Next up is DRIP, which is the S&P oil gas, and DRIP is the, I believe, an inverse of oil. Yeah, bear. I'm sorry, it's right here. It's right here. Bear, oil and gas. Alright, so oil going up, DRIP goes down, oil goes down, DRIP goes up. Alright, and we should be finding some support around 922 on DRIP, and oil should be heading up to its resistance overhead. And there it is. Bye-bye. So we have to see what happens. Who's going to win the battle? Is oil going to continue to push up and retest this area up here? Or is it going to sell off and is DRIP going to go back up to retest this area up over here at $12? It remains to be seen. Give it a few more days. Next up is Dust. Dust is the Gold Miners Index Bear. It's a Bear ETF. And as you can see, gold must be going higher because this is selling off. Let's see what gold is doing. I think we already talked about it, but it's nice to check back. Yep. So gold needs to start pushing higher. Alright, or that dust is going to turn around and start heading up. Alright, this is the inverse of gold, of the gold miners. Alright, next up is EXE, Expand Energy, and Expand Energy is still trying to hang in there. It's getting a little choppy in here. got a nice green bar here, and it can get up above this 107 and come back retest and then take off. But currently, it's with all the stuff that's going on in the markets right now, it's still trying to push higher. So be careful with that one though. It has a window open down here, but currently it's in an uptrending market and not doing too bad. Next up is Fastly, and Fastly is looks like it's still it's got some consolidation happening in here between $8 and $9. So keep an eye on that one. Moving average underneath. So if they can hold it up and push it higher, then Fastly is going to run and going to want to retest this $12 area. If not, look out below. Next up is Grayscale Bitcoin. Had a little gap up here. Put in a little doji right there. Alright, so if it opens up lower, and look out, it's going to want to push down even lower. If it opens up higher, it may want to try to retest this area up here. But of course, remember we were talking about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, it needs to get up in here also in order to prove that it wants to continue higher. But if it doesn't, then, you know, as Bitcoin goes, so does Grayscale. Alright, so keep an eye on that. If it opens up below here tomorrow, then expect at least to come down here and retest this area down here at 73. Next up is GME. GME got hammered today. I do mean hammered. And guess what? I got hammered right along with it. I tell you, I took a beating today. I got up and I looked at it and I said, I was looking at this line here and I said I should put my stop in there, and I didn't. I took off and went to work, and I got home tonight and I was like, oh my stars. So, but anyway, I got what I, you know, what's the saying? Only trade with what you're willing to lose or something like that. Anyway, whatever they're talking about, but I ain't willing to lose it. I want it back, but I'm not going to trade. What's it? Grudge trade. I'm probably going to end up tomorrow morning, depending on what happens. I may trim it in half or something. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet. I don't know if I want to ride it out and see what happens, or trim it. But that bar is just a wee bit more than I had expected to see. Took out all this. Took out quite a bit. Trading. Alright. That's a big bar. So, but look for some support down in here. It's still in an uptrending market. So if you can get the 200-day 150 to come up and catch it and act as some support, you may continue to go higher in it. Let's see if we can figure out where our support area should be on this thing. So I'm sitting here licking my wounds. Let's see, let me activate that. And we'll put it down right about in here somewhere, maybe. Now what the? You behave. I don't know. Kind of hard to tell. There's so many stops. We'll say right about in there. Because even though we got here, pushed up, came back, and it checked in right there, and it took off, and it came back down to recheck it. And this little pin right here said, okay, we're good, and kept going higher. So maybe it wants to come back here and retest this area here for support. We'll give it a 3 since we're not sure for now. And we'll make that line thicker if it actually holds. And it's about the midway point, I think, between this move here. If I move that down here, it'll probably be about the midway between all of them. Let's take a look and see. Was it at $22? Comes down here where this first took off at. Look at that, it's about the same distance, huh? Yeah. So, anyway, that's about our midpoint between this move. So, $25, not a bad spot to see if we can hold the line. If we don't hold the line here, then, we got a moving averages coming up to help hold the line. But, heavily manipulated stock, so be careful. As you can see, that bar was let's see what that bar opened up at 31.26 and closed at 27. So what's that? $4? Something like that. Yeah, about $4. So that's a $4 bar right there. That's an ouchie. Owie. That right there is a nice big owie. Anyway, let's get on. Let's move along. Next up is gold, GOLD. And as you can see, it's trying to push up because, like we said, gold has been middling around trying to actually move up also. So keep an eye on that one. When you can get above these moving averages, come up and retest these moving averages, get above those moving averages, and keep running. Next up, Google. Okay, Google. And it's still chopping around in this range. We don't call it a range. That big channels and you go down that way. So we don't call it a range, or just consolidating. At any rate, it ain't doing much of nothing. Be careful with it. Right, red bar caught this 188 area, but if these moving averages roll over and start to force it down, it's going to come down here and reconcile this window that it opened at 175. So that's quite a $5 drop, $10 drop, something like that. All right, so be careful with Google. Next up is Gush. Gush is the S&P oil and gas bull ETF. So of course, when oil is going higher, Gush is going higher. When oil is going lower, Gush is going lower, and Drip is going higher. All right. So Drip and Gush should be looking like inverse. Yep. Drip going down. Gush going up. All right. And we got to get above these moving averages, retest this $36 area. Once we get above that, off to the races. Next up, JDST. Gold Miners JDST Bear ETF. And of course, gold's pretending to be going higher, so this one's going lower. But I can't be confident with gold because it ain't really showing us nothing right now. Alright? But according to JDST, gold wants to go higher. Next up, JILL, JILL. It's a sell and it's in a down market, so be careful with it. Looks like it wants to be, once these roll over and start forcing it down, then it's going to continue to sell, and once it gets below this 2366, look out below. Next up is JNUG, which is another junior gold miners, but this one's the bull ETF, and of course green bar. Alright, we need to get above these moving averages, come up and retest this area at $49. Then the next stop is $60.66. Alright, but we need some more green. Next up is LABD, and LABD is the inverse or the bear ETF for the S&P biotech stocks. Alright, and they put in a nice green bar today. Let's see what's the high of that bar there. I guess it took it out. Took this bar out. It got forced down yesterday, but today it said, nah, we coming back on that. Came back and closed above it. So expect another, that's a pretty good bar. A little bit more volume than we got here. Not a whole lot of volume, but it is more volume than we had. Um, but expect, to maybe push up a little higher and then come back and retest this area for support and then go higher, or it may come back sooner and check in before heading higher. But currently, right now, it's in the up, almost in the up market. We need our moving averages to roll over and start pointing up to be sure that the S&P Biotech Bear is going higher. Next up, LABU, and that is the S&P Biotech Bull, and the bull, as you can see, is selling off. All right, so keep an eye on that. We got our moving averages rolling over to help force it down even more, and we're expected to 20 here. So if we ever see it pop up again, expect the 20 to act as resistance. If it doesn't, and it may want to continue to go higher, but currently it's in a down market and it's a sell. Next up is Lake, L-A-K-E, and it's a buy, going up higher. It's in an uptrending market and looking pretty good. Looking like it wants to go up and retest this $29.55 area. That remains to be seen. Next up, Microsoft. Microsoft is in a down market. It's almost in a down market. These are still flat. Once these roll over and start forcing it down lower, then it's in a down market. But currently these are flat, so our trade wins, once they roll over and start forcing it down, then we know it's in a down market and it's selling off. But currently it appears to be wanting to sell off. We got our 8 and 9 SMAs and our 20 rolling over, so we have to see what happens in the next few days or so and see if we're going to continue to sell off and roll over. If that happens, then we know we're in a down market and expect it to continue to sell. Next up is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy was selling off pretty big, but now it's bouncing around like Bitcoin, because MicroStrategy is the Bitcoin, what I want to call it. Anyway, it's related to Bitcoin. The guy that, I think it's Raul Paul or something like that is his name. It's his particular stock, I believe, and or company or something like that. But at any rate, Doji. Yeah, Doji. If it opens up below, expect it to continue to go lower. If it opens up above, expect it to go higher. This one opened up below, but it didn't sell off. It came back and it closed above our moving average, so it didn't quite. If it had closed below our moving average, then I would think, okay, we're going to be selling off more. But it didn't. It pulled back and pushed back up and found some support with our moving average. So then it put in this doji the next day, and they're like, what are we really trying to do? We don't know. We don't know what we want to do. So let's wait and see what happens tomorrow and the next day. And if we start going this way, and it's a sell, it goes this way, and they want to retest this high maybe. Alright, so we have to see how they play it. Next up, Netflix. And Netflix is still selling off. And this bar we got a red bar, a green bar, and another red bar. So I think we're going to continue to go lower on Netflix. And it's got a window open down here also at $711. So keep an eye on that. But currently it's a sell, but it's still in the uptrending market. So be careful. Alright, because it still has the strength to continue higher. Next up is NVIDIA. And NVIDIA is same thing as the moving averages are rolling over. This kind of looks like the Bitcoin stock, but anyway, continues to roll over. Nice red bar here, but it's not it didn't take this bar out, and it did find some support at 128. So let's see what happens tomorrow, if it opens up and continues going lower, or if it wants to continue going higher. But currently it looks like it wants to be a sell, and we got a moving average just coming up to help support it. So we'll have to see what happens with that with NVIDIA. But 128 seems to be support. That doesn't hold. Look for 118. 118 doesn't hold. Look out below, heading to 95. Next up is OSS, and OSS is still selling off. This red bar didn't quite take out this doji, so we have to see what happens with that tomorrow. We might want to go up and retest this 8 and 9 SMA, or it may just sell off. All right, next up, and we got support here at $2.87. So look for that to hold. If that doesn't hold, look for moving averages to catch it. If that don't catch it, then look for a retest of $1.82. Next up is Oxy, and Oxy continues to push higher because oil is pushing higher. All right, so keep an eye on that. And then maybe wants to go back and retest that $63.82 area. We'll have to see what happens as time progresses. Next up, Qualcomm. Qualcomm has been trying to push higher. It's been consolidating a little bit in this area here between 163 and 152. Today was a nice red bar, but then it pushed itself back up towards the end of the day. So it still wants to be bullish, but it still has the moving averages overhead acting as resistance. So keep an eye on Qualcomm. We need to get up above $176 and to confirm that we want to go higher. Next up, Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab is a sell right now at the moving averages are rolling over. Put in these two dojis the last 2 days, and then it sold off, or the last 4 days ago, or whatever. At any rate, put in these two dojis, and then this is Monday, I believe, and Monday it just put in this nice red bar, and then today put in another little fat doji. So once the 20 rolls over and the 8 gets down in here, we're going to come down and retest this $21 area. If that doesn't hold, then we're going to come down and try to shut this window at $14. Alright, that's Rocket Lab. Next up, the Russell 2000. And the Russell found some support in the moving averages here in our trade winds. Found some support, popped up today, and let's see what happens. It looks like it wants to continue going higher. Looks like a buy on the Russell. And then we got the RWM, which should be the inverse of the Russell, and the Bear ETF, and it looks just like the inverse of the Russell. And it's selling off because the Russell is going higher. Next up is SDOW. SDOW is the inverse of the Dow, and it's selling off. We're trying to find some support here in our moving averages. It's been inside this channel here for a little bit, or this range for a little bit, and it got beat down today. It put in this tombstone, gravestone doji here, and so we have to see what happens tomorrow, if it opens up higher and continues higher, or if it's going to continue going lower and the Dow goes higher. Next up, SoFi. SoFi popped up a little bit, had this resistance area, which was a previous high at one point, $14.14. Went up, hit it, ran into some resistance, and it gapped up over that resistance area in order to push up a little higher, but then sell off and find some support at this $14 area. We got the moving averages of the 8 and 9 coming over to act as resistance, and we got the 20 rolling over to act as resistance. But then we also have this 14 acting as support, so we have to wait and see who wins out on that one. If the moving averages win out, we're going to come back down and retest this $11 area. And if that doesn't hold, we're coming down to $10.30. And that is SoFi. Next up is Square. And Square looks like SoFi, doesn't it? Sort of. Yeah, kind of. Anyway, it is also in a down, selling off. Got our 8 and 9 rolling over and our 20 rolling over. And so far it seems to be respecting these moving averages. We got our 200, 150, and 200 down below, acting as a support area. Once we come down in here and test it out, we'll see if it's actually going to be one, and then maybe retest this $88 area. But currently, it is selling off, but in an uptrending market. Next up, SRE, and SRE has Sempra Energy is now in a potential bear market. Currently, it is still kind of bullish because these are just flat. We got to close below them, but these haven't quite rolled over yet. So once they roll over, then we know where to stay in that bear market until it's ready to get out. But we look for support here to $77.91 or $77 area in here, and maybe we can get some consolidation going on before heading back up. If not, our moving average is going to roll over and force us down and retest this $72 area. And once that's gone, look out below. Next up, TMUS, T-Mobile US, still consolidating in this area here. And right, still consolidating here. So between 209 and 216. Alright, so keep an eye on that one. Got our moving averages and coming up underneath, acting as support, and nice spacing between them. 150, 200 moving exponential, and 200. Nice spacing there. But we got our 8 and 9 SMA coming over, acting as resistance, and our 20-day. So we have to see what happens with that one. It's going to muster up enough to break through those two moving averages to continue higher, to retest this $248 area. That remains to be seen. Next up is T-Tech. T-Tech is still pushing higher, but in a nice in the last 3 days. 3 nice green bars. Got a little hammer here, but it's running into some resistance. 200 moving exponential. Then got the overhead resistance of 200 simple moving average, and we got our 150 simple moving average. So it's got a lot to get through, and plus we have this $43 area that was support at one time, but now it's acting as resistance again because we gapped down here and then broke down below and found some support here at $39.50. So now we're trying to push back up and retest this $43 area. Need to get through that, confirm it as support, and then push up to retest this $47 area. Get through that, come back, retest, prove that it's support, and then go up and retest the $51 area. Alright, so that's T-Tech, Tetra Tech. Next up is Texas Roadhouse, and Texas Roadhouse is still consolidating in this area here. And that seems to be an area that it has respected for a while now. Okay, and so keep an eye on that. If it goes up above it, then we know we're bullish, and if it goes back below it, then we know we're bearish. Alright, and that's 184.05, and we got our support below at 174. So we got a $10 move there that is consolidating in between on Texas Roadhouse. And Texas Roadhouse pays a dividend also, so if you're interested in that particular stock. Alright, next up, and last but not least, is VSDTM, Veristem. The Veristem's got a window open here at $4.49, and the low of that window is $3.87. It's been pulling back for a few days now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a straight pullback. So I had to see what happened. It caught the moving average here, found some support, and it's got a 20-day coming up and acting as support. Got the 8 and 9 getting in this business a little bit. Maybe gonna pull back some, who knows, once it gets up in there, but if it retested, but the 8 and 9 needs to roll over if we're going to continue to sell off. If not, then keep an eye on these. If they go flat, and you may want to go back and retest the $7.26 area. All right, so like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. But that's it. That's all we got for now. I hope it was informative. I hope you liked it. So far, it appears that we're still may continue to sell off with some of these with some of these stocks. Some of them look like they're a buy and want to go higher, and that they're still in bullish. So you have to pick your poison and be careful. And make sure you use your stops. Don't do like I did, like a big dummy, and let a good trade get away from you. All right, because GME, did something similar when AMC. So, when they start talking all that, Hodo and all that crazy stuff, let them do the Hodo. You protect your assets. All right. That's my lecture for the day. But thanks for stopping by. Like I said, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get ready for the next one, because I'm going to try to do this daily, yo. Alright? So that's it. That's all I got for now. Be careful out there. These markets are crazy.